Hi, JK here. I have a new module I'd like to give a quick little demo of. First, I'll just kind of throw something together just to show you the basics without really explaining much, and then we'll go bit by bit and talk about what everything does, and then at the end, show a couple little demos. But yeah, let's start. We have the new module Prong right here. And the basic idea is something goes in here, then stuff comes out here, then something comes out here. And we'll explain that in more detail in a bit, but let's make 4 of them. And then let's connect them in a loop like that, and then connect these so they can talk to each other. And then we can have the note and gate output. The note go to pitch here. I will explain this, but I'm just showing it first. Gate to the envelope that's connected to the amp. And then we can just make a couple different notes here. And the mixer's not connected, but here we go. And yeah, there you go. So basically what's going on here is each one of these individually receives some kind of trigger, whether it be through the jack or through just pressing the play button or through re-triggering itself, which is what this toggle does. And then after receiving that trigger for a period of time, depending on what you have set here, it will output note and gate information. But if you have these things connected and this is toggled, then it sends all of this downstream, so you only have to hook up the last one. And then once this period of time, which is related to the tempo automatically, once that period of time is up, then it sends a trigger out from one of these, depending on what's connected and which mode you have selected. And therefore it will trigger the next one in the chain, or whatever else you might want to trigger. So you could, instead of having it like this, yeah, let's have all these go back to the first one, and then this one randomly will go to any of these. Let's change this note so we, yeah. Okay, so using that sort of idea, you can basically build any kind of sequence you want with, whether it be randomized or otherwise, because you can have a sequential mode here and it will go 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on what's connected, of course. Okay, let's go through one by one and explain the controls. Like all these settings, these are what I refer to in the manual as a selector, which is, just kind of a generic name, but this here, these labels are actually knobs, even though they don't look like it. So you can do everything you normally would with a knob. To these, you could right click and do edit value, MIDI learn, and all that stuff. You can also click on the label above it to either increment the value or right click to choose from all available values. And that's generally how those work. So let's just have this re-trigger itself, and then you hit play and it just keeps going. After it will re-trigger itself after each step, and each step length is based on the tempo, and then using length and tuplet value determines how long it actually takes for outputting these before it outputs from here. So, and then down here you can see that you can, change the note value. Here's the gate. It's the gate is set as a percentage of the length. So you can have little short gate, long gates, or anywhere in between, more or less. Then you can also change the number of gates that occur during the step. Under the ratchets here, you can, under the number sign, you can choose the actual number, and the percentage still stays true to the resulting length rather than the whole step length. It will fit in the ratchets, so there won't be any overlap. This question mark here lets you add a random amount to this amount. So obviously base number is 1, like it's not really ratcheting, it's just one gate. But if you have 2 as the base, here, let's make this easier to see real quick. Let's put this. All right, stop that. Link both these to button up here. So then they're both in time. This one's just going to be our visual. Yeah, this one. So that's the gate on every step, and then this is this one, however many ratchets we have. So this is 2 ratchets. So it's evenly spaced gates within the space of the original step length. But here we can add a random number. You see here it's doing that. And then from there we have the probability modes here, or probability settings. The odds is just basically like it's a percentage check on whether or not it will trigger all the way from 0 to 100. At 0 we have nothing, 100 all the time, except there's 4 different modes here. Oops. Okay. So regular gate mode is it just for each one of these individual gates, it will check the probability. Special gate mode will always output the first step. So even if we put it at 0, it's going to be the same as this up here, although the length will vary based on the number of ratchets it could have fit in there, if that makes sense. And we have step mode, which checks the odds for the entire step, however many ratchets it determines. Let's turn those down so we can. So for each step, it either triggers the entire set of ratchets or not, the entire set of gates, ratchets, whatever you want to call it. And then this other step mode, special step mode, is the same as the special gate mode, where it always triggers the first one and then determines the rest of them as a whole afterwards. So again, at 0, it would be just the steps again. And length values go from 30-second note all the way up to 4 bars. Tuplets run from longest to shortest. We have dotted notes up here, and then triplets, quintuplets, and septuplets. So you can do all kinds of weird timing stuff. These communication jacks, there's instances where you won't need to use them, but it usually makes things easier. Having these connected will allow you to send a stop signal down through the entire chain of prongs. So if you hit stop on the first one, it'll send that down the line so that whichever one is actually playing at that time will stop. It also communicates the status of this toggle so that it changes all the ones downstream from that. And then, assuming that toggle is toggled, it will transfer down or propagate all note values and gate values, or gates. And then the last thing that's worth looking at is a select mode here. So what we can do is put this back on looping, and these are also determined or dependent on what's actually connected. But let's just hook them all up. So sequential mode. Let's turn that back to a short length. Sequential mode, you can see, goes in order, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ping pong 1 goes up and down. Ping pong 2 goes up and down, but it repeats the ends. Random is just random. Then the alternate random won't repeat the same one twice in a row. And then weighted random is kind of special, where each jack has a weight value being 8, 4, 2, and 1, which means, this is twice as likely as this to trigger, it's 4 times as likely as this, and it's 8 times as likely as this. And you can kind of see that here. If we make it even faster, you can kind of see how things distribute themselves. Like, we rarely get one down here. Most of them are up here. So that can be useful if you want to usually branch one way and only occasionally branch certain other ways. And you can play with the probabilities too a little bit by, now it's just 8 versus 1. The weights stay the same no matter how many jacks you have connected here. So this is always 8, 4, 2, 1. And let's just go through a couple demos real quick. And that'll be it. I think we'll start at the bottom, and a couple of these I'll skip. All right, so in making these demos, I discovered that the tempo doesn't save with the patch, and I'm not sure if that's a bug or a feature. But anyway, you have to remember to change the tempo at the beginning. So this is 3 different super basic drum kits, each one with its own sequence, but the sequences will kind of cross over at various times randomly. And so if we play it, so that kind of shows, some basic. And see here I'm not sending the note information. These aren't toggled. But if I was to trigger that, it would turn them all on since everything's connected through those cables. And also hitting stop, no matter where it is, since they're all connected with the poly jacks, it'll stop no matter what. But I'm pulling gates individually from each one because I want each one to trigger different drum sounds potentially. Again, this is something similar, but maybe a little bit less, basic sounding. All right, 155. And what we have the basic beat right here, but then sometimes it'll branch off into this where it kind of like holds for a little bit, like for a bar, or sometimes it comes down here and does this triplet thing, and which sometimes goes back or sometimes leads into this extended triplet thing. And here, play it back and some weird noises. There's a triplet thing. Oh, it stopped it. No. All right, well, obviously it's not doing it that much since I'm trying to make a video, so that's great. This is another piece. This one I got kind of carried away with. It basically is just using a bunch of Synthmaster VSTs just for quick and easy presets that sounded good. And then it's just a bunch of different repeating sequences, some of which are randomized, some of which just repeat themselves. And also there's this LFO here is connected to a lot of different stuff, which is why everything was kind of swelling and retreating, which made it sound a little bit more like a full song almost. This was a fun little thing that I made. Again, this one was actually more about, there's 3 different chords, and it's basically randomly jumping from chord to chord, you know, with an associated bass line and a little beat over here. And it sounds a little bit like Cardiacs. So that's that. And then this one I kind of randomly threw together, just trying to be really weird with it. There's a lot of different duration values, tuplets and stuff in here. Just basic drum sounds again. Yeah, everything's just like rooted on masked into there. Like that's great. But I don't know how loud it is, but it was kind of cool because it was really weird. Yeah, I think the basic premise was that each step was shorter than the last, but also that it would run this way and then run backwards. But then I kind of did a little bit more from that basic premise. And it was just an idea, but it shows you how you can just mess around and come up with something interesting and unique. And it's on sale until the end of the month for $5. Normally it'll be $10. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more things. As a bonus, look at this. There is, actually I don't know where, I reorganized all this recently and can't find anything now. This is the thing that will be coming eventually. But anyway, there's other things too.